Hello and welcome back to another Let's Play with Retro Phoenix 80. Welcome to Myst and Season 4. This game actually came out back in 1990. Shit, I can't remember anymore. Basically, the premise of this game is that it's not like your normal adventure game. This game is actually more closely related to, it's a full puzzle game, is what it is. Excuse me. So, there are 4 different endings to this game. Once we get to the point where I'm going to finish the game, I will save the game and show you each of the 4, because one of the endings requires that you don't have a certain piece to the puzzle. Technically, I could end the game within the first 5 minutes. Both of those endings are absolute losses. But, yes, this is actually a revolutionary type of game. It's the first one that I remember having full motion, like photos just being taken. Yes, I know that there's another remake out there called Real Myst that actually adds great detail to the game, but I'm not going to be playing that. This is the one that I grew up with. This is the one that I remember playing. And this is actually the anniversary edition. As you can see on the screen, it says Masterpiece. Which means that it does have some tweaks and some extra stuff. But overall, it is still the same game that came out back when I was in high school. And without further ado, let's just hop right on into it.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed. I must admit, however, such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is actually one of those types of games where you definitely need to keep notes. If you don't, you could miss something important and have to go all the way back from where you were to gather your information that you need for certain parts of the game. Now, there are 5 main islands, or ages, so as they're called in this game, that we will be visiting, and the first one is Myst, obviously. And this is also one of the ones that incorporates full motion video into the game. And we just touch the page and go right on in. Wow. First things to note as soon as we get into the game. These right here are important. You have to count those. Right now we're at the sunken ship. And if you notice, there's a room right here. We will actually go to that later. Let's go ahead and cover everything right now that we need to do on Myst Island. First things first, go through, make sure all of these switches that we can see. Yes, this is actually a point and click game as well. Just got to make sure that you count the switches as you turn them on. There is a note up here, which we will actually read now. It lets us know why that those switches are important. Catherine, I have left you a message of utmost importance in our forechamber beside the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on this island into the imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Atris. Okay. That little chamber that I mentioned back down there on the dock, that's where we'll be going after we count the marker switches. So we've already encountered 2. There's the third one. We'll worry about this later. This is the planetarium. That's 3. This is the library. This is the central part of the entire game will actually take place here. This is marker number 4. One of the markers we will not be able to get to right now. This is a statue, actually, of the sunken ship, which is over at the dock. Okay. Symbols. These are important. Well, they will become important. I've got to get this mouse fixed. Number 5 on the switches. There's number 6 right there. We'll go in there later. There's a switch we're not going to be able to get to just yet. That's switch number 7. Okay. This whole mouse thing is starting to irritate me. And there is number 8. This is the shed. It's on the other side of the lighthouse. So now that we know how many markers there are, we're going to go back to that chamber down here by the docks. Right there. And use the imager, which is right here. Which is currently set to display the water turbulent pool. There's a switch right up here which will engage this, and we need to make sure that these numbers read 0 and 8. Then we hit the red button, turn around, go back to the imager, press the button.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Achenar, but I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Cirrus as well. Oh, I should have known better than to have left my library unchecked for so long. Well, I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in their places of protection. You shouldn't have to use the books until I return. But if you've forgotten the access keys, remember the tower rotation. Oh, and don't worry, Catherine. Everything will be fine. I'll see you shortly. Oh, wait. And erase this message after you viewed it, just to be safe.
Okay, so what he just told us, that was Atris, by the way. What he just told us, basically, is that he suspects that his sons are trying to take over Myst and all of the ages. Therefore, he also gave us a clue for the library. Now, in the library, there's a map where there will be a line that rotates around, and that rotates a tower, which is actually behind the library. We can't get to it until we get to the library and start messing about, which is actually where we're going to be going right now. We don't have to do anything. I mean, you can sit over here and you can mess around with this if you want to, like put in the code 40 or 47 or 67 to return. You put in 67 to return it to what it was. Excuse me. When we arrived in this room, but it's really not necessary to mess around with it anymore. So with all of the switches on except for the one we can't get to right now, the first place we're going to head to is the library. Now this is the most important part of the entire game, because this is the access to the tower, the map, the red book, and the blue book, which I'll go ahead and get those over with here shortly. This, we've got 1, 2, 3, I think 4 books that we can read on that library, and we have to actually start taking notes on each one, because each one is for a different age that we'll be going to. And if I'm right, we're going to be going to 4 of them. Alright, so, and with the map, there's the line. What he was saying was, remember the rotations. Wait for the line to turn red, and it's rotating the tower right now to the mechanical, I think that's the mechanical age. Where, I mean, this is the start of the mechanical age puzzle. But let's go ahead and knock out these 2 books that are in here. We won't be able to get to the green book, to Atris's book, until later on in the game. Take the red page that's all sitting next to it and put it in. God, that hurts. Anyway, you put the page in, it activates the video.
Why? Bring me a red. I can't see. You don't let me read too much. Make a break. I am serious. Give it up. There's one thing I want. Rest.
basically what he's saying is he wants us to bring him the red pages so we can rescue him. This is actually one of Atreus' sons, Cirrus, who is actually a villain in this game. Likewise with the blue page, you take the blue page off beside it, put it in the book, listen to the message.
Serious? Are you? See you. You know. Help me. Bring blue pages. Never. Just I must have the blue page.
Okay, basically what he was wanting is for us to bring him the blue page. There are one red and one blue page in this library aside from what was next to the book. We'll get to that later. The fireplace is where the green book is, but it requires a password. That we don't have yet. So, touch everything. This actually is the entrance to the tower. We will not need it yet. So, excuse me. Close that, open up the back. And, okay, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there are only 4 books that we can read. Feel free to pause if you really want to read these. I mean, I could sit here and narrate it to you, but there are so many pages in these books that it's not until closer to the end of the books where the clues are that we need to actually access these the keys to the linking books. This one is about Channelwood. Oh my god, Channelwood is absolutely gorgeous. Sorry, I'm starting to take my notes now. But yeah. The thing about this book is that there is nobody else, or the thing about this game is that there's nobody else in the game except for Xeris, Akinar, and Atreus. And you only get to see them at certain times in the game. Obviously, the red page for the red book sucks you into the book and releases Cirrus to destroy the island of Myst. The blue page will suck you into the blue book and release Akinar again to destroy the island of Myst. And the reason we're actually going to be going to all these different ages is to gather the white pages for the Myst linking book so we can actually go to see Atreus, rescue him, and get out. I'm trying to leave these on for at least 10 seconds. I mean, like I said, you can feel free to pause if you need more time. Whoops. I really need to get this mouse fixed. Okay, message between blue and green. Okay, right here is a map. We will need that. I think. So let me take a picture of that. It's better than jotting that one down. The notepad would actually be for if we were going to okay. If we were going to like word puzzles. Okay, that is actually the end of that book. Now we open up the second book. Okay. I'm not sure which age this is for. These are all of Atris's notes as he was building and the island. Well, not building, but I'll have to look it up. I'll actually look that up as exactly what he was doing with these islands, because this is a book. This isn't. That's actually Myst, and all the subsequent sequels are books, interactive books. And each age is a offshoot of Myst. It's another book, not another. Well, it's all part of the same book. Basically, the story is writing. It's like the never-ending story. The story is writing itself. But if you actually pin down what you want, things happen. See the Never-Ending Story 3. This is actually part of a puzzle. I believe this is Stone Ship Age. Yes. I'm sorry, but this episode is actually going to be more reading and actually getting our puzzles situated, our clues out of these books. The next episode, we will actually get down to the nitty gritty and start going to each of the ages and recovering the pages of the Green Book. And you'll find that all of these ages are now deserted. Ah, constellations. Important. This is where I'm going to be taking some notes. I know this may not seem exciting to some people, but, you know, back in the day, this was one of the most sought after games. Sorry, I thought I saw something behind me. It was just my other desk chair. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we're writing down constellations for an age that is called Stone Ship, and part of it is based on a ship. I just got done writing down constellations. If you notice, the constellations of Stone Ship Age, how they navigate by boat, coincides. This actually may be one of the other ones that I don't know. This could be either mechanical or spaceship. It seems that he's witnessing the birth of a planet. I'm really not sure what age this is talking about. Ah. The missing text. I'm not sure. That's a compass, and this is the mechanical age, I believe. Maybe it's I don't know if 3 meters is not enough support for the towers. It's a spaceship age. I'm sure there's a way to finish this, but I have absolutely no idea what it would be. Uh-oh. I have just noticed that a large amount of this journal has curiously vanished from the very pages in which I wrote over the last 18 months. Fortunately, I have copied many of my construction notes in another journal. I do not understand the many mysteries of the world, but I trust I will be able to discover the logical answers. I'm going to take a picture of that, because that is actually going to be very important. Basically, what happened was he was writing these notes. I think what happened anyway, my game theory, is that since the age was changing so much, since parts of it got destroyed and the parts that he wrote about were destroyed, so therefore they disappeared from his notes and his journals. That's the age of spaceship age. Okay. Now we have one more to read, and then we'll end the episode there. Gathering more notes. And then in the next episode, we'll hightail it down to one of the ages and get everything situated. This is the one that this is the mechanical age book. see, these are the four main ages that we have to go to in order to solve the mystery of Myst Island. There is actually a fifth one we will be going to, but that's later on after we get done with all these ages. If you're wanting to play along, feel free. The game is available on Steam. Also, Good Old Games, and if you still have a disc and have a computer that can access it, by all means. This was a Windows 95 original game. So, or this game was built for 95, even though it ran some ports of it ran in DOS, some ports ran in Windows. Yeah. So, another note on this game is that it was made by two brothers. Two brothers actually started doing book-related games for the Apple II. And then once this was their first knockout across the board game. Whoops. What the? I forgot I clicked out of the book, which closes the book. This is where we were in the book. Alright, and that, ladies and gentlemen, will actually take care of it for this episode. Once again, thank you all for joining me for this journey through an original game that actually was one of the games that I actually enjoyed. The other game that I told you last season, Diablo, if you haven't watched that, please go on back to watch it too. The Legend of Zelda, there's a whole bunch of them that I can name off that actually inspired, that got me heavily into gaming. Yes, back in my high school days, I could play first-person shooters. I was heavy into Doom, Duke Nukem 3D, things like that. But over the years, something I started developing sickness. It's where if I'm watching rapidly moving things in first person, that it will actually cause me to get a form of motion sickness. So that's why I don't play first-person shooters much anymore. That's why I have to be careful whenever I play 3D games. Things like this, Five Nights at Freddy's, picture-based games are what actually games that I enjoy, adventure games, puzzle games, things like that. Anyway, I'm rambling and getting sidetracked. So, once again, thank you all for joining me for this new season of Let's Play with Retro Phoenix 80. And welcome to Myst. I will continue this on a weekly basis. Every Monday is Myst Monday. So stay tuned and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Become a Patreon if you wish. Every little donation helps. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in the next video. Later.